How does that work, Dana? Because I see a lot of people, people always bring up the fighter pay with the UFC, but isn't Logan complaining right now that he didn't get his checks from Floyd? Is that like a boxing issue versus
you don't
boxing thing?
You don't ever hear that coming out.
To this day,
you hear a guy going, I want to make $30 million, I didn't get paid enough. You don't ever hear guys going, yeah, they didn't pay me yet, ever.
Is that like a boxing issue?
Well, here's what happens when you go in and you do these fights, and you make them. And Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong. You do these fights that are exhibitions or whatever. The commission isn't overseeing it. So let's say I did a fight with Mike. I got Mike fighting, Francis or something. The athletic commission gets the money up front, so they pay the fighters.
Either way, the last thing you nearly need in your life is for things to go wrong, and you were showing off how you were a big shot financially when you didn't have to, really. You didn't have to do that. And now you have this egg on your face, and things are falling apart. And now people are wondering, did you get screwed, or was it your own financial ignorance?
Now, he's accused in multiple lawsuits, all right, of owing millions for luxury watches, gold, and rent as well on the apartment that we just talked about, okay? And so he's got about, I counted about 6 lawsuits.
Dana White criticizes Floyd Mayweather for chasing another Manny Pacquiao fight, framing it as money-driven. He calls it sad, and he openly questions what Mayweather's financial situation might look like behind the scenes.
They do what they got to do and say what they got to say to try to, to get in there and make money. It's not even going to be funny. It's going to be bad.
Logan Paul claims Floyd Mayweather still owes him money from their exhibition, a statement that adds fuel to ongoing questions about Mayweather's finances and unresolved obligations.
We ended up doing the fight in the States with a different company. That is the company that put on the fight. That is the company that paid me. But he sold our fight with my name and likeness to someone else in Dubai for $10 million cash. It's our fight, bro. Our deal was 15%. He fucking smoked me. So I got 15% of it. 15% of $10 million is $1.5 million. Mm-hmm. That company that paid him that money is suing him. I actually don't know the status on that lawsuit. I should check in because he still owes me money, but he has a bunch of legal trouble at the moment. That I don't think I'm ever getting the money.
He just sold his house in Vegas.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I think he's facing a bunch.
Rinsed on that house. He started at $14 million. He custom built the house, by the way, in like 2006.
Yeah.
Started at 14, reduced to 12,
yeah.
10, 8 came on the market,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of house for 8.
Dana White notes that Floyd Mayweather earned enormous money over his career, and he points to the Conor McGregor blockbuster as the biggest payday of all.
What's the biggest fight you've ever had?
Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, which ironically is a boxing event, but it's the biggest combat sports fight ever.
What did that gross?
It did 4.4 or 4.5 million buys at $100 a buy.
Yeah. So that worked out okay.
It did.
Wade Clemens argues Floyd Mayweather mishandled his money early on, and that once his prime ended, he kept returning to the ring, especially through exhibitions, to generate fresh paydays and rebuild what was spent.
It was way back, again, 5 years ago now, but that was like the initial rumblings around that fight. And what Floyd did was use Mayweather Promotions to bring them this fight and say, if you'll front us this money, we'll put this fight here. They fronted him the money. He took the money, had the fight at the Hard Rock in Miami with Fanmio instead. That was the company that put it on, Fanmio. And Logan saw none of that front end 10 mil, and the people that paid Floyd the 10 mil never saw a dime back. It's nasty work what he did. But this has been like one of Floyd's MOs, is that he leverages his fight name or his quote unquote assets, and which is what, a lot of wealthy people do. They leverage their assets to take out bigger loans or, whatever. But Floyd does it in such a reckless way that no one ever sees return on it. He just takes money. It isn't a loan, he's stealing.
Joe Rogan says Mayweather spent his fortune carelessly, living at an extreme level and treating the money like it would never stop. An approach Rogan suggests may have contributed to financial strain.
That's crazy. So you buy a watch and a car, you're down 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Crazy.
I remember Iran Barkley was talking about that. Iran Barkley, when he was in his prime, was hanging out with all these professional athletes, and everybody was getting diamond-crusted chains and this and that, and he was keeping up with these people. Like, you got to keep up with the Joneses. And he just found himself, like, draining all of his money. He was talking about it like that was the biggest detriment to him being able to save any money.
Mm-hmm. They trying to keep up.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny when I was listening to this conversation with Chad Ochocinco. He was talking about it. He was like,
his jewelry fake.
Yeah, he was wearing fake jewelry.
But who would know?
What's that?
Who would know? He
No
Chad
one know.
Ochocinco.
Exactly.
It's
Fake
like when
jewelry,
they look at him, like
flying economy. He was sleeping at the stadium.
Teddy Atlas says some people take satisfaction in seeing Mayweather struggle now because for years, Floyd publicly flaunted wealth in a way that stirred jealousy and resentment.
People taking shots at a great fighter, Mayweather. Probably the same people that were, applauding him and saying how great he was at one point. And now they're taking shots at him like they're almost, like they get pleasure out of seeing a great fall. Potentially
You're right.
fall. Oh yeah, like you said, he was Mayweather, Money Mayweather, and now he's suing because he went through his money, he blew his money, whatever. Look, I don't know what the truth is fully in there. I know Steven Espinoza was named. He ran Showtime at the time. He was named him. I never was a fan of Espinoza. Again, I'm not afraid to say and not mince my words when I feel a certain way. And and I've taken arrows for it, and of course I've also taken some praise for it. That people say, hey, Teddy's going to say what he feels. I was never a fan of him. I never thought he was a man that kept his word. I never thought he really did a great job over at Showtime. I mean, they put some good fights on because the fights were available, because the landscape made it available.
Dan Raphael says the financial questions surrounding Floyd Mayweather Jr. shouldn't surprise anyone who has watched his career and his lifestyle up close. In Raphael's view, the warning signs were always visible in the way Mayweather publicly handled money over the years. Floyd built a brand around luxury and excess, repeatedly putting private jets, exotic cars, designer shopping, and expensive vacations on display. It wasn't occasional, it was constant, woven into his public identity until the image became inseparable from the man.
I will contact my people again later, and hopefully I can get it this afternoon to actually read the specifics of the suit and what the allegations are. But the fact that Floyd would encounter some financial issues post his boxing career is not in any way a surprise to me. When you see the types of things that, if you believe anything that he puts on his social media, the travel that he does, the places he goes, and the amount of entourage he has, I mean, that's like a money pit. I mean, whether you're flying on private jets or you're staying at first-class hotels, or you're, buying expensive jewelry and cars and bags and you name it. I mean, it's all good when you're making those gigantic paydays and they're coming in, a couple times a year. You're making 40 million here and 25 million there, or even more, 100 million plus, when he fought the big mega fights with guys like Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. But when that stops, that money it goes.
That image created an aura of success and dominance, but it also raised a quiet question about what happens when the noise fades. Dan Raphael argues that a lifestyle built on constant luxury demands long-term planning, especially after retirement when the steady flow of fight night money slows. Without careful management, even enormous earnings can erode. For Raphael, the issue has never been what was made, but what was protected. Now, with talk of financial pressure and Mayweather's continued involvement in exhibitions, Raphael sees a reflection of those earlier concerns. What once looked like limitless wealth now reads as something more fragile, an illustration of how discipline and decision-making still matter long after the final bell.
The allegations about the 340 million, it just didn't ring true to me, because Al Heyman, who is not named in the suit, but apparently is supposedly part of this problem, whatever. But I mean, I've known Al Heyman and covered Al Heyman's fighters and his business since the day he stepped in boxing in like 2002 with Vernon Forrest. And all that time, and literally in terms of the PBC, a couple hundred fighters that he's dealt with, maybe not personally, but that his team is and his company. To a fighter, you never hear anybody even when they're retired and they're not with Al anymore, nobody talks bad about him. In fact, if you ask most fighters, they'll tell you how good to them that he has been. That type of money that they've helped him make, and the person that he's paid, and the guidance that he's offered.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. was once defined by constant displays of luxury, an image of endless money and total financial control. But according to the Boxing I/O host, recent developments suggest something far more complicated may be happening behind the scenes. The analyst points to signs of financial strain, highlighting reported legal action Mayweather has taken against major business partners. For years, Mayweather maintained close ties with figures like Steven Espinoza and networks such as Showtime, relationships that helped generate enormous fight revenue and global exposure. Now, a reported $340 million lawsuit claims that significant earnings were never properly paid, reopening questions about what was promised, what was delivered, and what may have been left unresolved.
We are going to go through in this video. Now, I've been covering boxing for double-digit years. Allow me to take you through it. A simple Google search shows Floyd Mayweather. You type in his name, you're going to see some fight photos and whatnot. But the top stories, and there's multiple stories, and we're going to take a look at some of them. But as mentioned, Business Insider is now reporting what you see on the screen, that Floyd Mayweather is being accused in lawsuits of owing millions of dollars for luxury watches, gold, and rent on palatial apartment, right? The bullet points. Floyd was sued for allegedly failing to pay rent.
This situation raises hard questions about financial management, contract transparency, and long-term planning in professional boxing. The distance between Mayweather's past public image and today's legal disputes is what unsettles people. What once looked like total control now appears more complicated, another reminder that even the most successful careers can carry uncertainty when the business behind the scenes is unclear.
And this sum represents the $500,000 in arrears plus late fees minus a deposit that Mayweather paid at the start of the lease and the $100,000 catch-up payment. So they deducted what he did submit when he was made aware of this, the $100K, and I guess a deposit. So the remaining balance is that. An attorney for Mayweather did not provide a comment by deadline. He has not responded to the lawsuit in court. In a separate legal matter, so we've already went over one with this luxury condo in Manhattan, right? But a separate legal matter, a Miami jeweler sued Floyd Mayweather last month, alleging the boxer owes more than $1 million for jewelry that he took but never paid for.
Coach Malachi says Floyd Mayweather Jr. is now tied up in a major legal dispute centered on a claim that roughly $340 million was taken or mishandled through business dealings involving Steven Espinoza and Showtime. Malachi suggests the way the agreements were structured may have limited liability for certain individuals, particularly Al Haymon. In his view, if the contract language is as specific as it appears, it could explain why Haymon is not named in the lawsuit.
If that's in the contract, guess what? Al Haymon is clear. And now it explains why Floyd don't have Al Haymon in the lawsuit. He can't sue him. Come on, man. Al covered his tracks. Now, he may be getting sued by big corporations, stuff like that, but he's not being sued by any fighter. They can't sue him. You get what I'm saying? Floyd Mayweather messed up. And adds insult the injury, Floyd Mayweather has a gambling problem and he spends a lot of money. He loves to spend money. So whatever he have that's in his possession, he's spending that and blowing that on top of the $340 million that he said that's owed to him. Meaning that he never really got paid from the Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor fight. Come on, man. Al Haymon got power of attorney. You dig? And he covered his tracks. So shout out to the brother man, Al Haymon. You did a good job, Al.
The discussion underscores how complicated boxing's financial agreements can be, and how certain structures can leave key figures insulated from direct legal exposure. At the same time, Malachi argues that contracts aren't the only factor. He points to Mayweather's well-known spending habits, describing a lifestyle shaped by luxury and significant gambling. Malachi suggests that even amid claims of unpaid earnings tied to major fights and top opponents, money management remains a concern. In his view, the current situation reflects a complicated overlap: business structure on one side, personal financial decisions on the other, both shaping the consequences now playing out in public.
You've been praising him and worshiping him. Continue to praise him and worship him then. You get what I'm saying? You dig? True. And another thing, let's thank Al Heyman.
Well, you know, I guess I gotta be like everybody else and thank Al Heyman.
That's what y'all been doing. You are pro Al Heyman and PBC YouTube channels, and a lot of you fan bases online. That's what you've been doing. Continue to praise him then. Al is a smart businessman. He finessed the game. Let's give Al Heyman a round of applause. Good job, Al. You did a good job. And this is a lesson to all of those out there, you know, who think because you signed with the black man that you will not be taken advantage of and the white man is the evil devil. If that's your position, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with however you feel either way. But just understand, when someone wants to steal from you, they don't recognize color.
That's it for today. Stay tuned. See you next time.